My shirt says, being human is too complicated, time to be a unicorn. And it has never spoke more truer words. Do I even speak English? Blah, 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 blah. I've got to get my life together. Am I supposed to see the black ring of death when I stare off? I feel like I'm in the movie The Ring and somebody's about to come attack me. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, oh wait, I think we're all new here, including myself. My name is Shay and this is my October TBR. So a lot of months I can't really plan my TBR out exactly, and that's because I'm a part of a Facebook book club that is very interactive, and we have a different TBR challenge every month. Sometimes we know the prompts in advance and sometimes we don't. And this month we are doing an escape room challenge, which is a team challenge where we don't really know exactly which prompts we're going to have to take throughout the month. I do have some starting books, but this book club is run by Jacqueline over at the channel Jacqueline. She is an amazing person and a great booktuber. I highly recommend her. I will link her channel down below. Also, Jacqueline is running a challenge called Reading to Zero, where basically the challenge is to read all of your, most if not all of your physical TBR by January 2023. And I'm really trying, but it is very hard. I've tried to pick books from my owned TBR if possible, but I do have some that I had to borrow from the library. So during the Reading to Zero challenge, there's usually some kind of prompts as well. And for this month, there's two prompts. One, which was to read a book from a subscription box that you own. And two, we had like this random generator that was going to give us a spooky word, and we had to pick a book that matched with that word. So I'm going to tell y'all everything that I'm reading and what exact prompt that it is covering, not only for the Reading to Zero challenge, but for the challenge in my book club. Okay, so I have some chunky ones here. The first one that I have chosen is a book that matches the word witch, which is what I got when I did that random spooky word generator, and I picked Night Books by J.A. White. This is a middle grade book. It is about a boy who gets captured by a witch, and he must tell her story every night to stay alive. And while he's also trying to navigate how to escape from her, and he runs out of ideas and kind of has writer's block, and what kind of stories can he tell her, and it's he might die because he may run out of stories to tell her. So this was just recently adapted by Netflix and it is now out. So I'm hoping to read this and then watch it with my daughter. Super excited. I will be reading this for the witch prompt. The next book that I'm going to pick up is, if you saw my first video with my favorites of all time, you know that The City of Brass was one of those. So I'm going to continue on with that series, and it's a chunker, by reading The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This story follows our main character, Nari, and she does not believe in magic whatsoever. And she does think she's conning people, but really she actually has some magical abilities, and she accidentally summons this warrior Jinn one day while she's trying to con somebody, and then she realizes that she's not just who she thinks she is, and he whisks her away into another world, and she realizes that exactly who she is, and there's enemies and love and all that kind of stuff. And I cannot wait to read this and continue on with that series. And I am going to be reading this for the book that you most recently purchased. I purchased this prior to the Reading to Zero challenge, Jackie. Next, I'm going to be reading a book called What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins. If you don't know me, I have found that I really love books about grief and the study of grief. And I'm going to be reading this for the prompt of read a book from a subscription box. The only thing I subscribe to is Book of the Month. So this is one of those, and I'm also going to be doubling up with one of my other prompts, which is Tree on the Cover. So this follows some families who their sons have died mysteriously, and all of a sudden this 16-year-old pregnant girl shows up at their door, and she has something to do with it, and we're trying to figure out what she has to do with it, what really happened to these boys, and just we're following these families and learning how they are dealing with this grief. And I'm interested to see what this is all about. The next book that I will be reading is another continuation of a series that I have found that I absolutely positively adore, and that is going to be Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the third book in the trilogy, and the first book was Illuminae, and this follows, basically it's in space, there's a colony that has been attacked, and they have to shoot away in a spaceship to get away from their attackers, but they're still being pursued by an enemy warship. And while they're trying to get away, the ship, which has a smart AI on board, their AI has tried to take over and kill them. And also there's a mysterious virus going around killing people. And it's just, honestly, it is very, very action-packed. Highly recommend. And I'm reading this for the prompt of some mixed media, because as you can tell, it's told in emails and correspondences. So really looking forward to wrapping up this series. The next book I'm reading, and this is Blasphemy, because again, not only do I have a sticker right here, but I also, this book has a ripped cover. But this is Girls with Sharp Sticks. So this takes place at some kind of academy, and these girls are perfect, they're pretty, everything is perfect about them. They make all A's, they get hundreds on everything, and they think they're just here to go to school, and all of a sudden they realize that things aren't quite what it seems, and they're actually here for a different purpose. So it's them figuring out that something is wrong here. So interested to see what this one is all about. I have never read a book by Suzanne Young. She also wrote the series, The Program. So interested to see what's going on there. Then I have a couple of books that I don't have on hand, but I'll pop them up on the screen. The first one is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna McGuire. This is the third book in the Wayward Children series. This series has been quite an interesting journey for me. This book, the first book being Every Heart a Doorway, and it basically follows this woman who runs this school, basically a school for these children that have found doors that lead to different worlds or universes, and they go into these doors and they live their lives, and either A, they somehow get kicked out, B, they somehow find their way back. Then some of them spend all their time looking how to get back to the world they came from. They don't know how to live in the regular world anymore. They want to go back, and it's basically just each book. Some of them are standalones and some of them are continuations of other stories, but each book follows kind of like a different child and the world that they went into and how they got back. So super interesting. I read this book for shortest book on my TBR. One of the next books I'll be reading is, finally, I'm going to finish out the Kate Daniels series by Lona Andrews. I'm going to read Magic Triumphs, which is the 10th book in the series. 10th and final book. There are some spin-offs which I do plan on reading, but this will do me for this one series. So this follows Kate Daniels, who is like this mercenary type girl. She's not really supernatural. She has some abilities, but she basically her job is to control the supernatural, and she each book kind of follows like a different mystery type thing that she's dealing with, a different supernatural problem. She meets Cullen, who is the leader of the shapeshifter pack, and then they come together sometimes they hate each other, and to try to solve these mysteries and help other out, and there's battles and all kinds of different things. And I really, really, really enjoyed that series. I've enjoyed it as a whole. I'm hoping the finale really pushes it through, because it's one of my favorite series of all times. I read this one for the prompt, a book in a series. And lastly, the book that I know that I'm going to read is The Ivies by Alexa Dunn. So this follows some high school students who will stop at nothing to try to get into an Ivy League school, including murder. So I feel like there's going to be some deaths. It's going to be a mystery to solve. I can't wait to do so. I read this book for the prompt of notebook paper on the cover. I'm really excited about all the books I have. Of course, I read on average anywhere from 10 to 16 books a month. And if I'm in a challenge, challenge accepted, because I will read even more than that. I rely a lot on audiobooks, so I'll be reading a lot of this on audio. So I will read probably a lot more than what I have here in my stack, but we won't know because I don't know what prompts yet, and we will find out when I do my October wrap up. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in.